미국에서 우리 참 힘들게 사시는 우리 교포들 많은 애를 쓰시는 거 정말 감사하게 생각합니다. 또 우리 교포는 아니고 미국 사람들도 마음을 합해 주시고 힘을 실어 주셔서 제가 큰 힘을 얻고 있습니다. 제가 죽어서 하늘나라 가면 할머니들한테 할 말이 없었습니다. 그러나 미국에서 많은 도움을 주시고 많은 해결에 앞장서 주시고 또 미국에서도 그렇게 동상 또 기름 빛거정 씌워 주시고 해서 저는 이제는 하늘나라 가도 할머니들한테 할 말이 있습니다. 그것도 다 여러분들 때문에 제가 고마움으로 할머니들한테 전하겠습니다.
I'm Julie Koo. Many of you know me through my work as Director of DC Mayor Vincent Gray's Office on Asian and Pacific Island Affairs. But I'm here today as your MC for this event. The Washington Coalition for Comfort Women Issues was founded in December of 1992 to promote research and education pertaining to crimes against comfort women during World War II. We are going to learn more about 20 years of dedicated work they have done this afternoon. Before we begin, I would like to first invite Ms. Chenny Worley and Ms. Sunmi Yu to the stage, and would like to ask all of you to stand up for the national anthem of the United States of America and the Republic of Korea. Please rise. Next, please welcome Reverend 경림 신 to the stage for benediction. 다음 순서는 신경림 목사님의 기도가 있겠습니다.
Let us pray. May the grace of Jesus Christ, who taught us to respect all human beings, and the love of God who created us equal, and the communion of the Holy Spirit who inspired us 20 years ago to start this invaluable task and still challenges and empowers us, be with us now, so that true comfort will be brought to the all comfort women, and such a tragedy will not be repeated forever. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Shin, for a wonderful benediction. And since its inception in 1992, WCCW has been true to its mission to shine the light on the episode of gender-based violence. They have been educating the public about the plight of the 200,000 women who were forced into sexual slavery and brought like-minded people to ensure justice for victims past as well as those many suffering women around the globe today. At this point, I would like to invite Mrs. Christine Choi, President of the Washington Coalition for Comfort Women Issues, to deliver welcoming remarks.
It is my great honor to welcome you to the Washington Coalition for Comfort Women Issues 20th Anniversary Conference, Symposium, and Art Exhibition. 20 years ago, in December 1992, the WCCW was founded in Washington, D.C. Since then, we have continued to highlight the plight of former comfort women who struggle to cope with the aftermath of their horrific experiences. WCCW was heartened by Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's statement in July 2012 that comfort women could be more accurately be referred to as enforced sex slaves. Over the last 2 decades, WCCW has worked tirelessly with its most passionate volunteers, supporters, and donors to raise public awareness and help to reframe the cause of comfort women for what it truly is. Global human rights issue and continued failure by Japanese government to clearly and unequivocally acknowledge, apologize, and redress its responsibility for the crimes committed against these women. We take this moment, our 20-year anniversary, to reflect back on what we've accomplished thus far for the comfort women, the crucial challenges that await us. Our symposium, Korean Asian Comfort Women Issues, Then and Now, explore this theme of looking back at the past to understand the challenge that lies ahead. We truly appreciate your shared dedication and support for the cause of comfort women, and hope you find our 20th anniversary proceedings to be engaging and impactful as WCCW continues its work on behalf of these former sex slaves. Thank you for everybody.
At this point, I would like to welcome Minister Jung-Guk Hwang, who is the Minister for Political Affairs at the Embassy of Republic of Korea. And following that will be a video congratulatory remarks by the Honorable Yuna Martin, Senator of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
President Christine Choi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure and honor to be here today as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Washington Coalition for Comfort Women Issues. I'm especially delighted to have our good friend, Honorable Congressman Michael Honda, here with us. As you know, he played a pivotal role in the adoption of House Resolution 121 5 years ago. House Resolution 121 called upon the Japanese government to formally acknowledge, apologize, and accept historical responsibility in a clear and unequivocal manner. I believe that the Washington Coalition's activities to raise awareness through meaningful events such as exhibitions and symposiums deserve much praise for boldly standing up for human rights, women's dignity, and justice. Finally, on behalf of the Korean Embassy and Korean government, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the leadership and all members of the Washington Coalition for Computer Issues for their hard work and the lofty endeavors. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I want to commend Christine Choi and the conference organizers for the dedication that you continue to show in raising the awareness as well as advocating on behalf of the women that you are supporting. And for today's symposium that is really the first of its kind, and for this being launched today, and for everybody that is in attendance that is part of the symposium. I want to acknowledge Congressman Mike Honda. I hope that one day our paths will cross so that I can thank you in person for the work that you are doing in support of this issue, as well as to all of the panelists that are participating today. May today be a day of meaningful dialogue, debate, discourse, and for all of you to come together on these issues to find the way forward. I am here as one parliamentarian in Canada of Korean descent that shares the history with other Korean women around the world, and I hope that what happens today will be truly a day that is achieving some of your goals, as well as bringing the community together. Again, may today be a truly meaningful day. Thank you to everyone once again. Merci beaucoup. 감사합니다. Thank you.
Miss Lee Yong-soo, actually she was better known as Lee Yong-soo 할머니, and she's from South Korea. And as a surviving victim, she has been the voice of comfort women issues and fighting against Japanese government to demand formal apology. At this point, please welcome her with a big round of applause. 이 자리에서 저희가 이용수 할머니가 한국에서부터 오셨거든요. 이용수 할머니를 큰 박수로 모셔주시기 바랍니다. 이용사님.
네, 여러분 안녕하십니까?
How are you, everybody?
저는 한국 대구에서 왔습니다.
I'm from Daegu, South Korea.
이용수라고 합니다.
My name is Lee
저는 15살 때 대만에서 일본군 위안부 피해를 당한 피해자입니다.
When I was at age of 15, I was abducted to work as a sexual slave in Taiwan, and I was one of the victims.
네, 20년간 역사의 산증언으로 현재까지 싸우고 있습니다.
I have been fighting for the justice as a witness for the last 20 years.
현재 일본 공경에서 한일 회담 문서 공개를 시키기 위해 일본 정부와 재판을 하고 있습니다.
At the moment, I'm in the process of fighting against the Japanese government in Tokyo, Japan, related to the disclosure of the Korea-Japan meeting, the document-related matter.
재판에서 이겼습니다. 여러분 박수를 주세요. 저는 미국에 계시는 여러분들이 이번 워싱턴 정대위 20주년을 행사에 참석 주시고 그동안 도와주시어 진심으로 감사를 드립니다.
I want to sincerely thank you for your support of Washington Coalition for Comfort Women Issues for last 20 years.
여러분이 힘을 주시어 저는 용기를 얻었습니다.
I am so encouraged to get strength from you all.
저는 하늘나라에 있는 돌아가신 할머니들에게 여러분들이 고마움을 꼭 전달하겠습니다.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I give all your greatness, your great kindness to all those the deceased grandma who are in heaven now.
다시 한번 여러분들의 노력에 고마움을 전하면 제가 살아있는 동안 일본 정부로부터 사죄를 받을 수 있도록 계속 싸우겠습니다.
Once again, I want to thank you for your wholehearted effort and support of comfort women issues. And as long as I live, I will do my best to get the apology from the Japanese government. And I want to support this issue continuously.
여러분들께 또 한번 꼭 부탁을 드리겠습니다. 힘을 주시고 저를 도와주셔서 지금까지 이렇게 건강하게 여러분 앞에서 나서서 또 도움을 청하겠습니다. 꼭 여러분 저를 도와주십시오. 일본에 꼭 이기겠습니다. 법적인 배상받고 공식적인 사죄받고 우리는 아무 죄가 없습니다. 여러분들이 도와주시기 때문에 제가 이렇게 아직까지 이렇게 80 나이 뭐 적습니까? 많습니다. 85입니다. 이래도 건강하게 이렇게 와가 있는 거는 다 여러분 덕분입니다. 여러분이 도와주시기 때문에 여러분이 힘을 주시기 때문에 정말 감사합니다. 고맙습니다.
Although I'm at age 85, I'm in such a good health because of your support and your love for me. I am really thankful for all your love and all your support. And I will continue to fight for the issue of comfort women against the Japanese government. And we will prevail.
우리 여기 마이크 혼다상 계십니다. 마이크 혼다상 때문에 이렇게 제가 오게 되고 이겼습니다. 우리 마이크 혼다상을 위해서 큰 박수를 한번 더 주세요.
We cannot be here. And
감사합니다.
let's give applause to him. And thank you once again very much.
I was so looking forward to meet her, so finally it happened. I'm really glad, and I'm really glad to hear from her directly today. Now we're going to actually have a presentation of special recognition for volunteers, and also there's going to be a special presentation of awards. As you know, that WCCW, Washington Coalition for Comfort Women Issues, has been fighting for 20 years, and there are so many volunteers and hard workers along the way who have supported. So at this point, I would like to recognize those Congressman Mike Honda for hard work on passing HR 121 in 2007. And I would like to, at this point, welcome Congressman Honda to be on the stage. 먼저 혼다 의원님께서 몇 분들에게 지금까지 노력해 주신 것에 대해서 공로상을 시상해 주시겠습니다. 첫 번째로 상을 받으실 분 제가 먼저 말씀드리겠습니다. First recipient is Miss Dong-woo Lee Ham. Miss Dong-woo Lee, is she here? She is WCCW's board chair in recognition and appreciation of your commitment to the advancement of human rights through supporting the Comfort Women Resolution of HR House of Representatives H.R. 121 of 2007 on the occasion of the Washington Coalition for Comfort Women Issues, Inc. 20th Anniversary Ceremony and Symposium. Next person will be Ms. Sammy Lowry. Ms. Annabelle S. Park, National Coordinator for H.R. 121 Coalition in 2007, same wording. Next recipient is Mr. Moon Hyung Lee, co-chair of HR 121 Coalition in DC. Same wording. Last but not least for sure, Miss Christine Choi, WCCW Senior Vice President in 2007. Now she's the president. Same wording. I would like to ask all the recipients to the stage for the photo op. 이분들께 깊은 감사의 박수를 부탁드립니다. We have one more category of award or certification of appreciation will be presented by President Christine Choi. Christine Choi is the president of WCCW, and she would like to first present the award for Congressman Mike Honda. Would you please come to the stage one more time? The award is presenting to the Honorable Mike Honda with deep appreciation on your continued support for comfort women issues and your leadership and commitment on successful passage of HR 121. December the 1st, 2012, Christine Choi, President. Next, Mr. Christopher Simpson.
Yeah, he's been working with us since 1993 and up to now. So he was a real great supporter, and from now on another 20 years.
I hope I have another 20 years.
Next, I would like to invite Miss, Miss, right? Sun Im Kang.
네, 강수님, 권사님은 우리 20년 전에 컴포트먼 이슈 우리 WCCW 생기기 전에도 열심히 베이스웍이라고 할까, 여러 사람한테 그 컴포트먼 이슈를 알리기 위해서 굉장히 노력을 했고, 여러 사람들한테 알리기 위해서 기초 작업을 하신 그런 분입니다. 그래서 지난 20년 동안 저희들 일하는데 또 도와주시고, 앞으로 또 20년 후에도 우리 함께 할머니들이 정의를 찾을 때까지 함께 하실 것을 기대하면서 부탁드립니다. 감사합니다.
제가 1992년에
지금처럼 타이핑을 잘 할 줄 알았으면 얼마나 좋았겠습니까? 도저히 몇 사람의 힘으로 할 수가 없어서 워싱턴 교포들을 초청해서 같이 의논해야 되겠는데 한 손가락으로 150군데 그 메일링 아드레스를 쳤던 게 지금 생각하면 너무나 지금 그때 내가 좀 잘했으면 그렇게 며칠 동안 하지 않았을 텐데 그런 거 하고 그 다음에 그때 우리가 이동호 선생님을 회장으로 모시고 열정을 가지고 심포지엄 할 때마다 왜 우리가 이 일을 하는가. 그런데 제가 20년 동안 생각해 보니까 우리 시대에 이런 얘기를 듣고 아는 우리 코리안 또는 모든 인류가 이 문제에 대해서 관심을 갖고 해결하는 데 나서는 게 우리의 의무이기 때문에 우리가 컴포트 오원 이슈에 노력하는 거라 그런 생각이 듭니다. 맞습니까?
감사합니다. Okay, next recipient is Dr. Bunny O. Dr. Bunny, are you here? Please come forward. Looks like recipients were not informed, right? It's total surprise. All right. Last but not least again is Reverend Kyungnim Shin to the stage. Could you please come to the stage for this recognition? Dr. Ok Jaseok. And also, Mr. Bong Hyun Kim, I would like to ask you to come to the stage right now too. Thank you all the volunteers and the supporters for your hard work and dedication. Maryland Delegate Susan Lee to present a certificate of appreciation by Maryland Governor O'Malley.
I thank you for your efforts because I know it's not easy, but I know eventually justice will be done. And thank you for your efforts. And now we'd just like to honor those who have helped in this effort from our Maryland Governor and also our Maryland General Assembly.
Mr. Moon Hyung Lee to the stage is our President Christine Choi and Dong-woo Lee Han. Please come to the stage one more time.
On behalf of the state of Maryland and our Governor Martin O'Malley and the Maryland General Assembly, we'd like to thank these individuals for their outstanding leadership and their hard work and with respect to this Washington Coalition for Comfort Women and all the efforts that you have had in obtaining justice for its victims. Thank you.
Since 2001, Congressman Mike Honda has represented the 15th Congressional District of California in the U.S. House of Representatives. He has championed the causes of underrepresented and underserved communities by promoting social justice, racial tolerance, and civil rights. He is known to us as for H.R. 121, but before introducing H.R. 121, in the U.S. House of Representatives in 2007, in 1999, as a California State Assemblyman, he authored Assembly Joint Resolution 27, AJR 27,
which called on Congress to urge the Japanese government to issue an apology for the victims of the rape of Nanking, comfort women, and POWs who were used as slave laborers. Please welcome our friend, Congressman Mike Honda.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for having me. I want to thank the Washington Coalition for Comfort Women Issues, Inc. for holding this symposium and offering us a forum from which we can speak about the past, the present, and the future, and our expectations. I also want to thank the participants and organizers for this time and devotion to this issue, and to the awardees. Congratulations. I know on my part, everything was from 2007. And so it's a little about 5 years behind, but I wanted to take this opportunity to recognize your work, even though it's a little 5 years hence. The idea about the whole recognition, though, is that you had provided leadership and coordination for not only this area, but throughout this country and across the other countries too, and giving them a focus and a target for them to shoot for. When we passed HR 121 in 2007, 9 other countries followed suit. 9 other countries were waiting to see what would happen here. And one country that was really watching was Japan. And prior to the passage of 121, we knew that the Japanese government had been spending a lot of money on lobbyists to persuade the members of Congress not to vote for the resolution, to ignore it, and hoping that it would go away. They spent an inordinate amount of money and time. And, but judging by the activities that I saw in the offices by members of the Korean American community and some from Canada, they were walking the halls of Congress talking to members of Congress about the issue and about seeking their support. And it was an incredible work of organization, teamwork, and timing. And so all that made it possible. I just want to leave a word also with all of us, a reminder that Congressman Lane Evans, who has been working on this since 1999, proposed the Comfort Women resolutions 3 times. But each time, the persuasion of the Japanese government had overcome the thinking of the members of Congress. But he did not give up, and he passed the torch to myself. And Lane Evers is a very good friend, and we know that we will always remember him. He was a Marine Corps, and we knew that because he was a Marine Corps man, that he would never give up, and never leave anybody behind either. And I wanted to recognize the late Congressman Tom Lantos, who was then the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and he was a stalwart champion of human rights and the effort to pass this resolution. The one that really set off the movement, I wanted to recognize my friend and colleague, Congressman Eni Falomovega, representing America Samoa. He became chair of the subcommittee of the Committee of the Foreign Affairs. And he called me and said that we're going to do HR 121. This can be the first one on the docket, and we're going to start off the year that way. So it was his understanding and his awareness and his determination to put this forward. And I remember when we had the hearing, the WCCW was really steadfastly dedicated to this and making sure they coordinated the presence of many people. And one of the congressmen who was in the audience, and he was from California, Congressman Costa, said, "I've never seen so many TV cameras here in all the years that I've been here." And he was right, there was a line all across the back of the room. And so he bent over to shake my hand. He says, "Smile at me so the cameras can show that I'm my friend." So this is how much attention the WCCW here in Washington had made this issue a national focus. And after that, I have continued to learn more and more about the history and the experience and the atrocities that were visited upon the women who were into forced sexual slavery. One of the things that we have changed over time is trying to find another terminology that replaces the term comfort women. And we know that Hillary Clinton, in her statement last year, said that the word comfort woman is euphemism for enforced sexual slavery. And it's notable that the Secretary of State of this country had made a public statement like that. And it's notable that the President of the United States, Barack Obama, had also recognized this issue too. So since 2007, we've had made some progress, but more progress needs to be made. I've been to Japan since 2007, 3 times to speak with the members of the parliament, the Diet. And the last 2 times, I went there because the power had changed from the LDP, the Liberal Democratic Party, which is a very conservative party, that kept the issue away from the public and kept this issue away from the dockets and agenda of the Japanese Diet. The party that came into power is the DPJ, the Democratic Party of Japan, who was a party that in the upper house had sponsored bills to ask for an unequivocal apology and accepting historical responsibility for the systematic kidnapping of women and young girls in Asia. And so they're in power, but they're learning to govern because they don't have full power, they have a coalition. So I think that what we need to do, because they're faced with another election, and they're going to re-elect the lower house, and it's the lower house that wields the influence of whether we can move issues like this forward. So if we have any friends, we have any influence, we need to make sure that the DPJ continues to at least hold a coalition together to be able to have control in the lower house. I say that because I think that there are people here in our own areas of influence that could influence the population in Japan. One of the organizations I think we might want to look at as Korean Americans is looking at our church. Our church and our reach out into the churches in Japan. We must seek out sister churches out there that we can talk to and share the information with them. Because in Christianity, the concept of reconciliation is not a foreign concept. And reconciliation accepts the wrongdoings of the past by individuals and doesn't judge after that. And I think that a lot of the members of the LDP who were past prime ministers were grandsons of people who were, I should say, grandsons of folks who were recognized as war criminals, but were never ever punished. And so their influence continues throughout the history and to the present. And so we must recognize that in terms of the dynamics that goes on and why the political arm of Japan is not making any moves. So I hope that this will be helpful. In January, I intend to visit again Korea, and then right after that go to Japan and see if we can get some coordination, some agreement among some of the parliamentarians to move this issue forward in Japan. I'm very pleased that this past year in 2012 that the Korean Parliament had also passed a resolution recognizing this need to have an apology and a unequivocal, unambiguous apology by the Parliament of Japan. So I want to thank the leadership in the Korean Parliament. This past Sunday, November 25th, the world recognized the International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women. And this day recognizes that human rights of women and of the girl child are an inalienable, integral, and indivisible part of universal human rights, while recognizing further the need to promote and protect all human rights of women and girls. And today, this occasion, celebration of 20 years of unwavering activism, that we continue the fight on behalf of the 200,000 victims across Asia and Pacific Islands who were forced to serve as comfort women for the Japanese soldiers. So it's a clarion call today by all of you, to the rest of the community, to the rest of this country, to our Congress, and to the Parliament and the Diet of Japan, that we must move forward and bring this to a close. The urgency is still upon us to take this action and to urge our governments to properly acknowledge the responsibility. And the responsibility is not only starts and begins with the issue of the sexual slave issue, because it is a subset, in my mind, of a global violence against women. Whenever we have times of conflict, it seems that women and children, but especially women and girls, are targeted to be victimized through violence by soldiers and men. And I know that we have with us today a living and breathing evidence of that physical and sexual and psychological violence perpetrated by states, and in this case, the country of Japan, in the systematic way that the Imperial Army had done it. And I just want to say to my harmony, Ian Sue, I call her my girlfriend. And let's see if I can say this, but to you I say, Chamye Puseyo. You're beautiful. And to know that she has found the strength and the pathway to stand up and say, I will not be ashamed, I will not be set aside, I will not be quiet, but I will be speaking up as a victim, but also as a person who understands what has gone on and want not to see again to be perpetuated in the future, but I also want my voice to be heard. And she presents herself along with her colleagues from the House of Sharing in front of the Japanese embassy every week for all these years. I don't go to any meetings every week like she does. And she has this burning conviction that the Japanese government needs to face up to its responsibility. People say that it's in the past, and it's not the sins of today, but the sins of the past. But governments like Congress is a living, breathing organism that is responsible for the past, the present, and the future. And so we must hold the Japanese government responsible, even today, for what has happened in the past. And there's nothing but good that would come from it. There's nothing but good that would come from their apology and their recognition by making that apology and also putting this issue into the textbooks of the students, of the children of Japan. Because there are many adults today who are over 40, 45 years old who never heard of this issue because they were never taught. And so, in order for our country not to make the same mistakes, the citizenry has to understand and be knowledgeable about it. And so that is the reason why this country needs to continue it, so that our country and our children will know and recognize that this kind of behavior is unacceptable. And this is the reason why the UN resolution that states that we shall not and we should not commit violence against women and girl, child. And they even go beyond that, saying that children, whether they're little boys or capturing boys to become soldiers, is unacceptable. It's this prevention of violence within the family. But today we're focused upon violence against women. and we need to find a way to stop that permanently and change the culture of our country, change the culture of our families, change the culture of our own heritage. Because let's face it, a lot of times our own heritage is sometimes very subtly encourages the imbalance of power between man and woman, girls and boys in our families. And so I just want to close with this idea that perhaps if we accept the idea that this is global, then the kinds of atrocities that happen in Kosovo, the atrocities that happen in Rwanda, the atrocities that happen among the Albanians, that these kinds of atrocities against women will cease, because atrocity against women here and globally will be unacceptable. The issue I think we face today is one where we need to raise the level of awareness, take the fight to another level, reinforce some of the fights in the United Nations, and to have attached to the resolution on the resolution against the violence of women, to have it revisited by bringing this issue to them and having our communities petition the UN to take this up as a resolution under the guise of the violence against women. This will put a little bit more pressure, I think, upon the Japanese government. And we ourselves can probably expect some kind of action from our Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, if she continues. If she doesn't, then we'll ask her to go public even more and help us out. And I think that whenever the President has an opportunity to chat with the Prime Minister in Japan, that he indicate that an apology would be a wise thing to do. And it would be a wise thing to do, I think, since Japan wants to have a permanent seat in the Security Council of the United Nations. And when they made a bid for it last time, almost all the Asian countries declined to support Japan for that bid, in spite of the fact that Japan had helped many of these Asian countries economically and provided a lot of sustenance to a lot of the emerging Asian countries. They had declined, except for Singapore, and Singapore provided a warm support, but everybody else had declined. And I think that they declined because there's unresolved issues between Asian countries and Japan in the context of the systematic kidnapping and the slavery of women during World War II and pre-World War II. If they take care of that, I suspect that the trust and confidence of the Japanese government will increase, and perhaps it will erase that part of the history. They won't forget, but they will forgive. They may be able to work together and be able to develop confidence to work together as Asian countries. But I think until then, I think that the Japanese parliamentarians and the politicians need to really consider that very deeply. So with that, I just want to, again, thank you for this time to be able to talk to you and say that this country was established through a struggle against a bigger power, and that struggle was a decision that was not easy. It was not popular, but it needed to be made. This country went through a struggle during the Civil War. It went through a struggle in World War II and subsequent wars. But during World War II, this government had incarcerated its own citizens only because its citizens had the same face as the enemy. And 60 years later, the government of this country had recognized their mistake only because of the activity of the community in telling this government that you had done wrong and you probably had done wrong purposely, and that you need to apologize and provide reparations for the loss of our civil rights. In 1988, this government did so through a formal, unequivocal act of the President and of Congress. And this is all that we ask. If anyone in this country who say that this is not something that we should be pursuing and spending our time, you can tell them that there is precedence on this. And there is precedence of governments making mistakes, and sometimes on purpose, and apologizing for it and moving forward so that it won't happen again. And when we do that, we put another notch into our Declaration of Independence in our Constitution. And it moves our country forward. That reflects the phrase in the preamble of our Constitution where it says, in order to form a more perfect union, and in order to form a more perfect global society, Japan needs to acknowledge their responsibility. And we need to pursue this at every level of every country until this is accomplished. Thank you very much.
Informative speech. I think he does deserve another big round of applause. Our ceremony part of the program, I would like to invite the chair and co-chair of the board of WCCK, Ms. Dong Lee Han.
My sincere appreciation to all my conduct and every member. When I was asked by President Choi for closing remarks, I told her after that long session, what you need closing remarks for. I can say thank you for coming and have a careful back home good night. But since I heard Representative Mike Honda's speech, I want to add one sentence. Lately, I get many questions from friends and neighbors that what is your vision? What is WCCW's vision for the future? We are getting all tired of very neglecting, irresponsible attitude of Japanese government lately since 2007. And whether we can tolerate, how much we can play with their games, I am getting very frustrated. We all know that in 1942, during World War II, about 120,000 Japanese Americans were relocated into internment camps. I understand Congressman Mike Honda was there at the age of 4, if I'm not correct. One. About a quarter century later, the National Japanese American Memorial was dedicated by the U.S. government near the U.S. Congress. On the monument entrance face stone, President Reagan's statement of apology to the history is imprinted. We did wrong. We WCCW expect the similar gesture taken by the U.S. government to the victims of Japanese internment camp system. Hereby, I want to recommend very highly the establishment of Comfort Women Memorial and Museum here in Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States and center of the international society. 이 긴 시간을 참아주셔서 감사하고요. 귀가하시는 길에도 편안하게 그렇게 안전히 돌아가시를 간절히 바라면서 또 뵙기를 고대하겠습니다. 감사합니다.